want to welcome everyone to today's Industry Expert webinar. This one is going to be on Delivery Delight. I'm Don Vangeloff. I'm with FenixCommerce, an AI-based delivery management platform. We work with retailers and brands to increase conversion and improve the delivery experience using your own data. And we're joined today with our good partners from Maergo, which is an expedited nationwide carrier service specializing in 2 to 3 day delivery. And I'm joined, which will be a great discussion, with Peter Sheldon from Maergo and Akhilesh Srivastava, founder and CEO of FenixCommerce. So as we get started, I want to, again, thank you all for coming and encourage you. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end, but this will be a very informal discussion between Peter and Akhilesh. But please, between the chat function and the Q&A function that you have in front of you, submit any questions that you have. I may interject with one of your questions during the session if it seems right. Otherwise, I'll queue them up and we'll go through them at the end for Q&A. So without further ado, let me turn this over to Peter from Maergo. Thank you guys both for coming, and let's have a great chat.
Great. Thanks, Don, and thanks for the introduction, and excited and looking forward to the next 40 minutes or so. So as Don said, Akhilesh and I are going to take you through a little bit of an agenda that we have for the webinar this morning. And really what we're going to look at, I think, are 4 areas. We're going to look at what we call the pre-purchase decision workflow. What is it that influences as it relates to shipping policy, shipping times, and shipping costs, the consumer's decision-making process for proceeding with a purchase, and how does the shipping influence that? We're going to look at how delivery speed influences a consumer's propensity to buy. How likely are they to abandon their cart or complete a purchase based on knowing when they will receive their product. Akhilesh is going to talk a little about, or quite a bit about shipping visibility, how important it is to convey an actual delivery date and how that influences the purchase. And then we'll also look at how shipping influences loyalty and returns. And a lot of what we're going to share with you is data based on a recent study that Maergo did in collaboration with the Santa Clara University, where we looked at consumer sentiment and did primary research with consumers to really understand how shipping influences their purchases. And so I'm going to share a lot of that data with you through the webinar today. But to set the scenes, let's talk a little bit about Andy Jassy and Amazon. And I think what's really fascinating here is how Amazon has completely reset consumer expectations. In the US, almost all of us have a Prime membership or part of a household that has a Prime membership. And, we have become used to and accustomed to getting our orders that we place on Amazon in 2 days or less. And the unfortunate reality is that when shopping off of Amazon, when shopping at a brand or retailer's site, most brands and retailers still have an experience from a shipping timeframe perspective that falls far behind the Prime experience. And I think the real wake-up call here for all of us in this industry, and especially for brands and retailers, is Amazon is not taking their foot off the gas pedal. In fact, they are accelerating their momentum. We can see on the top left here a quote from Doug Harrington, who's the CEO of Amazon's worldwide stores, just talking just a few days ago about how they continue to accelerate the number of shipments that are delivered in same day or next day. And so, the consumer expectations, continue to rise and be reset, and we may be in or entering into a sort of recessionary environment, but that is not changing the consumer expectations for how fast they expect orders online. And so when we look at the Prime effect, we can see just how prolific this is. 75% of consumers regularly shop on Amazon. And 38% of those consumers who shop on Amazon regularly receive their orders either the same day or next day. So it's not just 2 day, almost, more than a third of orders placed on Amazon are arriving same day or next day. And then when consumers are shopping elsewhere, 19% of consumers expect other retailers and other brands to offer free 2-day shipping because that's what they're used to with Amazon. That's now the baseline expectation. And if your shipping isn't free, or it's a 3 to 5-day service and not a 2-day service, that is then puts you at a serious disadvantage versus the consumer that's used to shopping on Amazon and is more than willing to, if the same product at the same price is available, will have a strong preference to order that product from Amazon because they know that they can get it quickly. And so there's that value proposition and sort of reliability of the Amazon network. So let's jump in a little bit and sort of look at what influences a consumer to make a purchase and how shipping plays into that influence. And I think this is a really key slide, and I want to share a lot of the data from the study that we did with the Santa Clara University here. And so when we ask consumers about occasions in the past year when they had items in their shopping cart but did not complete the purchase, why didn't they complete the purchase? And so we can see, look at 37% of consumers were just window shopping. They were doing research. 22% of consumers said, well, I did price comparisons. I found the product cheaper elsewhere. But if you look at all of the bars in green, these are all shipping related issues. So the first of which, my purchase didn't qualify for free shipping, and the cost to pay for paid shipping was too much. So still, we've got a lot of consumers who are have a cart where the value of the cart is below the free shipping threshold, and they're not prepared to pay what perhaps they perceive as a shipping tax to pay for shipping. 18% of consumers said that they needed the product quicker than the delivery estimate being provided for free shipping, and they weren't willing to pay the premium for expedited shipping. 15% of consumers said they abandoned their cart because the delivery estimate was too vague, i.e. 4 to 8 business days, and we'll talk a lot about that as we go through the webinar. And so, when you aggregate this, 28% of all abandoned carts are due to concerns about delivery date, either ambiguity about when that delivery date is, or that delivery date is too slow for the urgency of the purchase that they have. So, I think the key takeaway here is that, retailers and brands have been very, very focused on free shipping, and it is a core value proposition on almost any retail site. But free shipping on its own is not enough to keep customers buying. It has to be free. It has to be dependable and reliable. It has to be accurate when they're going to get it, and it has to be fast. It has to be Prime-like in nature.
So Peter, I just want to add a point there. If you can go back to the last slide. So obviously it was the research which you guys did related to cart abandonment data. And one thing which I would like to point out is, on cart abandonment on desktop can be anywhere between 60 to 70%, as there are tons of case studies around it. On mobile, it goes as high as up to 80% cart abandonment. And now this is really double clicking into how do you reduce or how do you capture more of those carts which are not getting converted. Essentially, shoppers have gone all to the point of checkout, and that's when they abandon. So as you pointed out, there is a huge opportunity. One of the biggest barrier is from shipping and delivery perspective. Either it's the speed to delivery or the cost to get it delivered. Those are the two big components which can make a very meaningful impact on minimizing those cart abandonments.
Yeah, absolutely, Akhilesh. And I think, looking at a slightly different question in the study, we ask consumers now, what are the 3 most important factors that they consider when deciding to shop on a brand or retailer's site? And I think what's fascinating here is that delivery cost is actually on par or slightly more important than the product price. And so, especially when you're buying a full-priced item, the price is the same regardless of whether you buy it directly from the brand, you buy it from a wholesaler or another retailer. So the differentiation and that decision-making factor of where am I going to buy it really does come down to delivery cost. Is it free shipping? What is the threshold for qualifying for free shipping? Is my spend going to push me through that threshold where I do qualify for free shipping? And then almost as importantly, and sort of not in a distant third place, is delivery speed. And if 1 and 2 are equal, if I'm going to get free shipping and the product price is the same, then my decision about where am I going to buy this really comes down to how quickly can I get it. And if one retailer is offering, a sort of Prime-like 2-day shipping, and the other retailer is either being ambiguous about when my shipment will arrive, or it's clearly slower, it's sort of a 5-day service, then obviously consumers are going to gravitate to purchasing that from the retailer that has the faster shipping. And then other things that I think it's interesting. A lot of the other things that the retailers are very focused on about, the ratings and reviews, the promotions and offers that they're presenting, whether they're offering free returns, etc. All of those things sort of pale into insignificance through the consumer's mindset. The top 3 things that they care about are product price, delivery cost, and delivery speed. I think a lot of the time, the retailers are very good on the communication about the delivery cost, the fact that they offer free shipping, but all too often, and we'll see this as we go through the webinar, there's very little information about what free shipping actually is, what it means, and when you'll get it.
And funny thing is, actually, Peter, if you look at it, I'm smiling a little bit because the most important parameter could be delivery cost. And if you look at second one, it's kind of product pricing. How much effort, and from tech standpoint, from optimization perspective, over the years has been spent on price optimization versus how little has been done on delivery cost optimization or delivery speed optimization in general in the retail industry. Those are often least understood, and unfortunately, they have one of the biggest impact, collectively, by far the biggest impact on getting into the consideration mindset for the consumers.
That's right. So let's jump in a little bit now and talk about delivery speed and why it matters. So, again, looking at this, 79% of consumers say that speed is an important factor when making their buying decision. And, 81% of consumers will buy repeatedly due to reliable and predictable shipping. It becomes part of kind of the core brand experiences, the quality and dependability of the shipping. But conversely, and I think this is what's often missed, is that when a consumer gets a slow delivery experience, so, both meaning that the delivery promise is 4 to 8 business days, there's a weekend in between, and the reality is that it takes from clicking the buy button to receiving the product on their doorstep takes, a calendar week or longer. That causes them to stop shopping at a brand or a retailer, and actually causes causes a lot of harm in terms of the sort of the lifetime value relationship with the consumer, getting them to come back and become a repeat customer. And so what we started to see, and I think this is really interesting, if you clear your cookies on your browser and you pretty much go to any, retailer's website today, as a first-time customer, you're very frequently presented with sort of a first-time customer offer. And historically, these offers have always been percentage off your first order. So you'll see a lot of the time, give us your email address and we'll give you 15, 20, 25% off your first order. That's been sort of the status quo for a long, long time. But I think what's interesting is we're starting to see some examples and a little bit of shift in thinking from retailers where now increasingly when I clear my cookies and I go to a website for the first time, I'll actually see a free expedited shipping offer instead of a money off offer. And it's for this exact reason. I think retailers are starting to wake up that first impressions matter. And if their standard free shipping is slow, that creates a very poor first customer experience. When I'm new to a brand, I'm new to a retailer, I place my first order, and it takes over a week to arrive. that's a really poor experience. I'm not likely to go back and shop with that customer. But by offering them sort of an expedited, delivery, at least in that, for that first order, that then creates that delight. It creates that great first impression. So, I think retailers are starting to wake up to the fact that slow deliveries, really can be harmful to the brand experience. And so,
interesting.
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah, sorry, Peter. Yeah, I was going to just interject. That's why retailers, like the example here, they are saying free expedited shipping. If I'm an average kind of consumer out there, I don't know what is expedited shipping. I still don't know. Okay, is it going to get to me in 2 days, tomorrow, today, or is it like next week? The definition of expedited, unfortunately, while it's good to see the first step, but again goes to the point of this often remains the least understood and least invested area from retailer standpoint to improve the customer experience.
You make a great point, Akhilesh. I mean, I think there's a huge ambiguity in the vernacular and the vocabulary that the industry uses, expedited, express, fast, overnight, they're all sort of industry terms. And it's, to some respect, they're all meaningless unless you actually present a date. And we're going to get to this in the webinar. A date is what really matters, rather than marketing terms, which ultimately is what, expedited and express and others are. And so, if we sort of look at, what if we actually look at this problem, through the lens, the inconvenient truth is that, for most retailers, their free shipping is slow. And so this manifests itself, and I think a lot of the time it depends. It depends on the physical distance between the consumer who's placing the order and where the order is coming from. So where the distribution sector is. But if we look at sort of a typical type scenario, here we've got a customer that, places their order on a Thursday. We'll call that day 0. But they placed it late into the evening, so they miss the pick pack in the warehouse that day. So it's the following day, the Friday, where the order is finally sort of picked and packed. But then the weekend comes in, the warehouse doesn't operate on Saturday and Sunday, and so it's Monday before the label is printed, the package is ready on the dock to be picked up by the carrier. So already you've effectively, you're 4 or 5 calendar days into the process, and the order hasn't even left the warehouse yet. And then we get to the point of, the carrier picks up. And so now the carrier starts their process. And, if the order is going, what we call sort of a regional zone, so, probably, 500 to 1,000 miles, it's probably going to get there in 2 to 3 days. But if it's going across the country into a longer zone where it's going, say from LA to the East Coast, then the more likely ground-based scenario is that it's a 5-day or more delivery. Now we hit a second weekend where deliveries and the network is not operating over a weekend. So now that delivery may not occur until Monday or Tuesday of the following week. And then if it's a deferred ground service where that package is being consolidated with other packages and sort of, if you like, slowed down in that final mile delivery, it may be getting on towards sort of, day 14, day 15, before that package arrives on the doorstep. And so if we compare and contrast that, scenario where from a calendar day's perspective, this package could easily take more than a week to arrive versus that 2-day that we're all accustomed and used to with Amazon, or even 1 day, there's a stark difference of expectations and service levels between Amazon and everyone else. And then we get to sort of this whole discussion about business days, and Akhilesh and I talk about this all the time. Business days, I hate this term. It's very much sort of an industry term. When we think about, what is a business day? Well, consumers don't really work in business days. Yeah, we go to work Monday to Friday, but it's not something that we really think about. We think about calendars. We think about calendar days. And, with deliveries that now do, sometimes occur on Saturdays and Sundays, it's like your business days is pretty irrelevant for the consumer. If you give them a window and you say 3 to 8 business days, well, consumers are always going to sort of assume the worst. And they're going to, when they're sort of at that point of clicking the add to cart button, it's 3 to 8. They're thinking 8, not 3. They're thinking the worst case. Oh gosh, this might not arrive till the end of next week. I'm going to go find somewhere where I can get it quicker because I just don't know. Is it 3 or is it 8? And then, going back to sort of the last slide, don't make consumers do the maths. It's like when you tell them it's 3 business days, you're not being clear. To my last bullet here, is that from when I click the buy button, or is that from when it actually ships from the warehouse? And we looked at over 100 fashion and apparel retailers to sort of try and see if there was clarity in their shipping messaging about what that time frame meant. Did it mean from the point of placing the order or from the point of placing the shipment? And it was all over the shop. In fact, about half of the retailers, their delivery window promises were based on when it was clicked, and the other half was based on when it shipped. And so consumers don't know, and we're making them do maths. My sort of analogy here is back in the days before we had Google Maps and we had to navigate manually. That's kind of what we're doing here. It's a crapshoot, where the consumer has to guess. They have to say, well, is it 3 to 8 business days? Is there a weekend in the middle? Is there a holiday? They have no idea at the end of the day. It's sort of Russian roulette as to when they can expect to get their package. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
On that front, even when I have an example here, when my daughter recently, she was shopping online on one of the sites, shopping for shoes, and she came to me knowing that, okay, this is what we do. I said, what does it mean to order 24 to 48 hours processing? Does it mean these guys are going to get it on the truck, or they are going to get the tag? What happens? When can I get it? And of course, you can imagine it was basically, if this is a 18-year-old out there trying to figure out. And to your point of how do you make it simple for the consumers, retailers are actually continuing to make it much harder for them to make a decision by putting more vague information that, okay, give me 20 to 48 hours of processing and then economy 3 to 8 business days. There's so much confusion out there, which again goes to the point of this area, which while it is one of the most important from customer experience, driving the conversion perspective, this gets the least attention, unfortunately, from retailer standpoint.
That's right. And so, I think another thing is that consumers, want the expedited options. And a lot of the time, the expedited options are hidden away. You have no even knowledge that the retailer offers a 2-day or an overnight service until you get to the last step in the checkout. So it's very important to show expedited options right up front on the product detail page. Consumers are willing and prepared to pay for expedited shipping. They've done so in the past. They're willing to do so in the future. But the key thing is, how much are they willing to pay? And one of the really interesting things from our study was, we tried to do some sort of willingness to pay research. And so we asked the consumer, if you were provided an option to upgrade from sort of free shipping with a 5 to 8 day delivery window to expedited faster shipping with a 2 to 3 day delivery window, what's the maximum you'd be willing to pay for that? Now, if we take a step back for a moment, and we all know as we check out on commerce sites that the industry norm is to charge, about $15 for 2-day shipping, and typically at $20, $25, $30 for overnight shipping. And what the consumers are telling us is that price point is just way off the scale. From a sort of weighted average perspective, for a consumer that does not have the urgency but is still willing to pay to get it quicker, they'd be willing to pay about $7.50 for 2 to 3 day shipping. And if there is some urgency and they really do need that product in 2 to 3 days, that they're willing to pay sort of just north of $9, but they're not willing to pay $15 or $20. And so we're really sort of, the industry as a whole is putting the way that they're treating expedited shipping is that a lot of retailers treat it as a profit center. They actually mark up the pricing that they're paying for expedited options as a way of subsidizing the cost of the free shipping. And that may be actually a big mistake, because there are a lot of consumers that need the product faster, that are willing to pay for expedited shipping, but they're not willing to pay $15 or $20. And so therefore, you actually end up losing the sale. The customer abandons the cart, they bounce, they go see if the same product is available on Amazon when where they already have a Prime membership and they know they can get it in 2 days.
Absolutely. And this is probably one of the biggest reasons why people start research somewhere on brand side and quickly realize, okay, it's not going to cut it from shipping perspective. Let me go and see if I can find a similar product on Amazon. And guess what? More often than not, they are Prime members. You get free same-day delivery. You end up losing the sale right then and there. other thing, Peter, which I'm always amazed, the point which you raised, right? Like most of the retailers, whether it's economy or standard, it's free shipping. You get over the threshold, and then suddenly the 2-day option is $20, $15. Whereas instead of just charging the delta, true delta, because of course, retailer at the end of the day, even if consumer is paying nothing for shipping, retailer is having to pay $5, $6, $7 for shipping the package. And the true delta between the slower service versus the next grade of service, which is 2 to 3 delivery service like Maergo, might actually be very marginal. It could be a couple of dollars at max. It just amazes me that why retailers don't take a look at something like that and offer a much more cost-effective service, which gets the product delivered much faster, better experience end to end. And again, you had a point earlier in the search, in the research, where faster delivery, and even Amazon has said that when the product gets delivered to the customer faster, they come back to buy again much faster. So loyalty loop starts working at that point in time. So interesting to see that even in this case, customers are saying, hey, we are willing to pay $7 to $9 in upgrade fee just to get the package delivered faster. And there is a huge opportunity for retailers to capitalize on.
Absolutely.
Well, then, Akhilesh, thank you for bringing up that point. I was going to kind of prompt both you guys. You began to answer that. We got a real interesting comment in the chat a few moments ago. I think it was really more when we had the business days discussion up, but it also relates to what you were just saying, Akhilesh, about to be a little bit more mindful of what you're charging and what can be done to manage the cost. I mean, the really interesting point in the chat was that this is where Amazon wins, because they offer 24/7, vertically integrated service. So they can, blow things out on this business days part. They can also kind of manage this thing. So I would encourage both of you guys, as you bring up these points, if there are some tips or some things that retailers ought to be thinking about specifically of how they can compete a little bit better in that environment, please bring it up. And I think you just did there a little bit about acknowledging that you can better manage your free or your faster expedited shipping costs without even maybe you being aware of what's out there.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, Don, very common. It's very common practice for the retailers to, which is the point Peter pointed out, that $15 or $20 for expedited 2 to 3 day delivery, without really putting his thought into what's the delta between these two services. And really, if you can figure out a way to charge the consumers just a true upgrade instead of trying to make profit, it hurts both the conversion as well as essentially the customer experience, where you end up losing the sale just for trying to make some extra money from shipping standpoint. And many customers, they don't end up upgrading also, unfortunately. When I talk to retailers pretty regularly, their shipping upgrades range under 5% overall. And that is one of the biggest culprits, where they are charging exorbitant fees when they are not really paying that much in delta.
Yep. Okay, great. Let's jump forward, and I'm going to let Akhilesh talk a little bit now about how important it is to really convey an actual delivery date. Right? Great. Like you take the lead here.
Thanks, Peter. And again, I think we have been talking about this general sentiment, but two things which matter the most from online shopping experience perspective after the price of the product is speed of delivery and cost of delivery. I will also throw in a stat here, which is, and there are tons of research available on this, and any retailer, they know it, up to 90% of the traffic, and in some cases even more of the traffic which lands on their website, they do not go past a product page. Essentially, the people who add the product from the product page to the cart, for majority of the retailers, it varies anywhere between 3 to 10% of the total site traffic. How amazing is that number, and how mind-blowing it is that if we can improve the experience starting on the PDP, product detail page, or the landing page, how significant impact it can create for the customers, for the retailers throughout the funnel. And this is a great example of a retailer where, again, going back to the point of when it comes to delivery and shipping, they are obviously surfacing two particular options: ship it to me, and then it returns to the vague information, which is, okay, it is free shipping, but ship it to me. There is no delivery promise. You don't have any information around, is there a free shipping threshold, or essentially how much when you are going to get it in terms of the delivery date. So Peter, if you want to go to the next one. So, and this goes to the point of this, the research which Peter talked about when it was asked for the consumers that what would you like to see from delivery date perspective on the product page. Over 90% of the consumers, they want to see three big things right there on the product page. One, show me on the product page itself, when will I get the product delivered to me? Don't take me all the way to the checkout to show 3 to 7 business days of make delivery promises. Second is, show me very clearly what is the shipping cost associated with that delivery date. In fact, if you are offering multiple shipping options, show it to me right then and there on the product page, so I don't have to go deeper in the funnel. The returns experience, that's another thing. The ability to know that if I want to return the item, how will I get it? Do you offer free returns? So essentially, showing the relevant delivery and return information right there on the product page, and making an impact on those 90% plus shoppers who actually land on the product page but never make it to the cart, that creates a huge meaningful impact. So how do you go about it? And this is, we took the same example that what the retailer can do in that particular case. So right there on the product page, some of the best practices which we have seen time and again, and we are not reinventing the wheel here. Amazon has been doing it for 15 plus years. So there is no excuse for us to, for any retailer out there to not kind of take it very seriously. Right there on the product page with a timer, if it is applicable, show it to the consumers that, hey, you have X number of hours left to get the product delivered to you by coming Friday, which is tomorrow. And by the way, this product will get to you tomorrow with free shipping because it already qualifies the free shipping threshold. And right there on the product page, the retailer should display, what are the other options? Can I still get it today? In this case, obviously, and what's the cost associated with it if I want to get it faster? So everything is very clearly visible, removes any kind of confusion and anxiety in customers' mind. And the biggest impact, as I will keep repeating, is really gives you more add to cart. People who are just bouncing off the product page will be compelled to add the product to the cart. So Peter, if you want to go to the next one. And this is an example of a retailer who has really nailed it. Right there on the product page, as soon as you land on the product page based on the IP address, which many of the retailers are doing, based on the IP address, they detect what is the closest store to you as a shopper, where they continue to miss out. And this is the example where actually this retailer, they have nailed it. The IP address, based on it, they detect that if I want to get it delivered to my home with free shipping, I will get it by whatever date. With rush shipping, this is the rate when I can get it. It's available for pickup in this particular store. When can I pick it up by? And then if you click on shipping and returns additional details, it also provides that, hey, you get free standard shipping if you become a Royalty Rewards Club member. You get free returns for 90 days. So pretty much everything is available to the shoppers. And I can talk about a little bit more. These guys, they do use Phoenix platform, and they had pretty impressive lift in conversion from product page to cart and then cart to checkout because of this experience, which simplified shopper journey and made it very convenient for shoppers to make the decision to go through the purchase. So Peter, if you want to go to the next one. And then the next one, the survey, the research which Peter talked about was how often the customers want to be communicated once they place the order to the point the order is delivered. And no surprise here, up to 90%, almost 90% consumers, they want to see how the package is progressing. There is this anxiety and the excitement that, okay, I've placed the order, I'm waiting for it to be delivered and open the package. 90%, they want to know that I want to get the package, the final delivery. That package is out for final delivery. So the last mile of excitement that in next few minutes, few hours, I'm going to get the package in my hands. I can try it on, whatever it is. And other subsequent notification, which is order has been processed, it is with the carrier, it is on the truck. So there are multiple ways the customers can be notified, and retailers can take this opportunity to continue building the customer engagement. We provide this capability in Phoenix on the platform, where we are surfacing the delivery notifications, which are both proactive delivery notifications through SMS and emails to the shoppers. And we see that the engagement rate on those emails and SMS messages is 3 times compared to the normal marketing messages which the retailers are continuing to send. So not only you are providing as a retailer a great insight and visibility to the shoppers, the consumers, at the same time, there is an opportunity to kind of continue building excitement and potentially even resell and upsell them on other products. And that's something with many of our clients are continuing to do. And this one essentially talks about, while we looked at what consumers want, this one talks about what retailers are providing, essentially. And if you look at it, only 41% of the consumers in reality, while 90% plus, they want to see that, hey, I want to see the delivery date on the product page. Only 41%, not even half of that customer base, they are actually being provided with a delivery date even after the order has shipped, let alone before they make the purchase. So all is to say that retailers are continuing to miss the mark by a huge margin when it comes to delivery. And again, this is the summary of almost 90% of the customers, consumers, 89%. They want to know when the item will arrive. Don't give me a date range, give me a precise date. When will it arrive? Show it on the product detail page, and then keep me informed at every subsequent stage after that, till I get the order delivered in my hand.
And I think, Akhilesh, the important thing is, if that delivery date, it can and does change. There are always exceptions in the delivery, weather delays, etc. I think the really key thing is consumers, it's not so much that they're upset that the delivery is now going to be a day later. They just want to know that it's happened. And that's where continuing to keep them informed, updating them if there's any change to that delivery date, and giving them an update on what the new delivery date is, even if it changes twice or 3 times, they want to know and they want to be kept informed. So that's
absolutely. Yeah, that is absolutely key. Essentially, consumers are very forgiving to that point, Peter. I mean, when I was running shipping for my company, we did a survey, and consumer satisfaction was much higher when they were notified in advance for delays versus when the item delivered on time, because they really appreciated the fact that, hey, retailer is looking out for me and they are keeping me informed proactively, to your point.
That's right. And so the last section we'll touch on is sort of returns and loyalty. And loyalty, I think, is really interesting. We see a lot of retailers, really leaning in and investing in their loyalty programs. But a lot of the loyalty programs don't consider shipping as part of the benefits. So, loyalty programs for retailers today are very akin to frequent flyer programs of airlines. There's different tiers that you earn, free spend, and social activities. But what we're seeing from this research is that one of the things consumers really want from their loyalty program is shipping benefits. They want to know that, hey, I'll get blanket free shipping. If I'm a loyalty member, I get faster shipping. I get that sort of perk of getting expedited 2 or 3 day instead of 5 day. Maybe they still have to pay for expedited shipping, but Akhlesh's point earlier, they're paying sort of cost price instead of a marked up price, and so they're seeing a lower cost. Really innovative idea, makes you kind of feel special. It's a bit like sort of the pre-boarding United flight that you can get on the plane first, is that we're going to pick and pack your order first. It's going to get out of the warehouse quicker. We're going to prioritize your order because it's your loyalty member. Or maybe a lower free shipping threshold. If it's normally $80, we're in the loyalty club, now it's $50. And I think we're starting to see some retailers sort of embed shipping as part of a backbone of their loyalty program, but it's still fairly nascent. Most loyalty programs have no mention of any shipping benefits whatsoever. We think that's a big miss. And then we talk about returns. We talked to a lot of retailers now. This is all great. We'd love to spend more, to accelerate our shipping or lower our free shipping threshold. But we can't do that and have free returns. But what the data and the research showed us is that consumers actually care a lot more about free shipping and fast shipping than they do about returns. Only 7% of the consumers say they previously abandoned a purchase because a brand did not offer free returns. And so we're starting to see, I think, brands sort of change their philosophy here What we see here is we talk about bracketing, which is, consumers who intentionally buy, multiple items of the same apparel or streetwear with the intent of, only keeping one or two of them and returning the others. And when returns are free, we can see 13% of consumers, regularly do it versus only 6% when they know they will have to pay for, a restocking or return fee. And I think retailers are starting to wake up to this. We're seeing more and more retailers now starting to, create those restocking fees and to try and discourage bracketing. So I think that the balance is tilted in, retailers are really waking up that, faster free shipping has more weight in the consumer's decision-making process than free returns. So in summary, as we wrap up the webinar, I think there's 4 sort of key takeaways that Akhilesh and I would like to leave you. One is that transparency on the product detail page. Invest in a solution like FenixCommerce to put an actual estimated delivery date straight there on the PDP page. Stop, burying that information in the shipping policy and the FAQ. Make sure that's front and center, not just in the PDP, but in the shopping cart and throughout the checkout. Secondly, I think we're rapidly getting to a point where, consumers are not willing to tolerate or accept slow shipping anymore. And that sluggish sort of 4 to 7 business day creates a lot of anxiety and causes shoppers to look elsewhere. So, start looking at solutions like Maergo. I mean, Maergo is an expedited 2 to 3 day nationwide service at the price point of ground. And so our customers are able to drastically decrease their average time in transit for consumers and making their standard shipping, their free shipping fast. And so we sort of pivot from free shipping being free and slow to free shipping being free and fast. Think about loyalty. Consumers are, a lot more likely to embrace your marketing and loyalty program if shipping is part of the benefits they get. So as I talked about a moment ago, making sure that, that there are clear shipping benefits when they make that decision to, give you their email address to create an account and to join your loyalty program. And then last but not least, if you are offering free returns today, and that's a big part of your overall, marketing budget, go back, have a look at that. Perhaps A/B test, see if introducing a restocking fee or, only a restocking fee if they actually mail it back to you. What impact does that have versus doing an A/B test of accelerating shipping and seeing what, consumers who are presented with a faster free shipping option, how much more likely are they to convert in the checkout process and drive top line revenue versus, consumers who get sort of the incumbent slow ground-based service. Because what we've seen with a lot of our customers is when they A/B test a faster free shipping offer, that they see, significant, 5+% uplift in conversion rates, which is, obviously has a huge impact on top line revenue. So with that, I know we're at time. I'd like to sort of wrap up, and Don, pass back to you if there's any, I don't know if we have time for any questions, and, wrap up.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Peter. And thank you, Akhilesh, as well, too. I do have a couple of questions here. In fact, some people asked about how to check on the effectiveness of some of this. So I'm really glad you mentioned about A/B testing at the very end there, your last recommendation. Whether it's the stuff on the PDP page, the messaging or the delivery dates or at checkout or some of these other things, A/B testing is a great way to test the effectiveness of this. So let me, there's a couple of other questions that were asked about how to get more innovative around using shipping. And I'm just going to combine them into one here. And could either of you just give some examples, whether it's about affecting cart abandonment or the loyalty program. Somebody asked, I already offer free shipping in whether it's my cart abandonment notices or in my loyalty program, I offer free shipping. What else could I be doing around shipping and being more innovative from that shopper point of view in either of those areas?
And I think it boils down to free shipping on its own is not enough anymore. The world's moved on. It has to be free and fast. Now, we appreciate that investing in fast, sometimes, requires budget and, that there can be, challenges around margin of doing that. But if you want to truly compete with Amazon, it's sort of inevitable. but there's also sort of path to getting there. So, a great example we've seen some clients doing is actually having 2 tiers of free shipping threshold. So if you spend $50, you get free slow shipping. If you spend $100, you get free fast shipping. So they're, and they've seen, a lot of adoption of consumers, intentionally adding more things to their cart, increasing that AOV to over $100 so that they qualify for the free and fast shipping. I think that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is obviously, as you mentioned, through loyalty. If you're willing to share your email address with the retailer, create an account so that they can more effectively, market to you in the future, then, they're going to give you free and fast shipping versus free and slow shipping. So, I think, a lot of retailers perhaps want to sort of test this out, and really sort of see the impact of what offering faster free shipping does to their conversion rates, to their retention, to their loyalty. And those are a couple of ways of doing that in sort of more of an incremental test-based fashion.
Okay. So then let me pivot to another question here about, because it was mentioned earlier, both of you guys talked about optimizing delivery cost. So somebody asked, how can I really, in fact, they're saying, how can I really impact delivery cost or optimize it if carriers are controlling everything, particularly around fuel surcharges and things like that will happen at the end of the month?
Yeah, I can take that. So basically, Don, one of the things which we continue to see when retailers are setting, and starts with the kind of, in the sense that when you are setting up a promise, which is such a vague promise, 3 to 8 business days, as opposed to setting a definite date, not only it is hurting the conversion and resulting in more cart abandonment downstream when they are using whatever software they are using to print the label. Generally, those softwares don't have the ability to select the most cost-effective service, which may sometimes be a service like Maergo, actually, to where, I can, even though I promised 2-day delivery, I can use Maergo, which is more cost-effective over, let's say, UPS 2-day service in certain zones, and still meet the customer delivery promise while saving a whole lot of money from shipping standpoint. Again, all of this is feasible when you have set the right expectation from the customer standpoint from get-go, which is starting on the product page down below. And the another thing which I would also say is, where we talked about it earlier in the webinar, is the opportunity is, instead of having a flat shipping tiers, which is free above a certain threshold or $8.95, and then you suddenly go to $20 and $30 for 2-day and 1-day. That's where the opportunity lies on introducing, frankly, services like Maergo in the mix and seeing intelligently, not only on the back end of shipping, how do you improve that experience on the product page and checkout and provide a lot more cost-effective, fast delivery. It could be free, or it could be very cost-effective 2-day, 3-day delivery, which now competes against anything else available in the industry from shipping speeds, right? And customer expectations are met.
So, okay. So then I see that connection you made earlier about price optimization. In effect, you can price optimize what you charge for shipping on the front end,
Absolutely.
as well as kind of manage that on the back end.
Yep.
Even if you don't control all the costs because of carriers. Okay. Well, that's a good explanation. Then I think we've got time for maybe just one more question because, candidly, throughout all this, we've talked a lot about both free and faster shipping. So question is, I already, my brand, basically 95% of my orders or so are going out on free shipping. So are there any examples out there really where if I manage my shipping costs like you just talked about, where I can get more selected of upgrade shipping options or at checkout or more orders going out that way? Or, are we just talking about a few little changes on the margin?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is core to, the Maergo value proposition. We are an expedited service at a ground cost point. So what we find with a lot of customers is once they do the analysis of, our pricing versus what they're paying for their incumbent ground pricing, that, we're really not any more expensive on sort of a, blended, per package basis. But what they're able to do is, if their current ground service is typically 3 to 5 business days, and maybe sort of averaging at 4, Well, with our service, 80% of our packages are delivered within 2 business days. And so there can be, moving that average, delivery time frame, we call it time in transit, from, 4 days down to, 2 days. That's a huge differentiation, and, drives not only customer loyalty, and a far better post-purchase customer experience. We're all happy when our product arrives, and we don't have to get anxious. We're not creating Wismo tickets. We're not going to the tracking page. That's all good. We're probably less likely to actually do a return if we get our product quickly, because we haven't gone and bought a duplicate item somewhere else because we're fed up waiting for it, et cetera, et cetera. And then I think it really also, it's not just, maybe there's not going to be any cost savings on shipping, maybe sort of cost neutral in terms of the actual shipping costs, but that top line revenue growth of, how many more consumers are going to add to cart, complete a checkout when they know the delivery date and they know that delivery date is going to be fast. That can be, very, very meaningful for a lot of these retailers who are struggling to find sort of organic growth in the current economy. That's kind of so effectively doing more of what you already have. They're spending huge amounts of capital on customer acquisition, digital marketing, paid media, et cetera. And they're getting those customers to the PDP page only for those customers to abandon because of the ambiguity around shipping timelines. And when you give them a firm date and that date is fast, they are far more likely to convert.
Well, okay. But I think really what they're kind of coming from in that question is, if I'm already at 95% free shipping and I do some of these things and I only come down to, 94% orders going out with free shipping, I mean, am I really gaining enough to take on this type of innovation that you're talking about? So I wonder if either of you have some examples you could share of where, that uptick of the faster shipping is really a lot more significant and can really, justify the effort involved in putting that plan in place.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you some examples. Basically, Don, from Phoenix standpoint, what we continue to see is we have seen that when, number one, from delivery promise standpoint, when customers are shown the delivery promises which are 5 days or lesser, essentially not business days. This is really, as Peter was talking about, calendar days. So calendar days, 5 days or lesser. Through A/B testing, we have seen our retailers, they have been able to increase conversion anywhere between 10-40%. This is by exposing real delivery promise and multiple shipping options on the product page, cart, and checkout. If you have cost-effective services in the checkout, in fact, one other thing which we have seen, which is pretty interesting with several of the retailers, we have seen that the consumers are willing to pay, and this goes in line of what Peter was saying earlier, for the delivery visibility and potentially the faster delivery. We have seen up to 12% of the consumers in many of those cases, they are willing to pay for shipping upgrades on the checkout. While there is no price gouging happening from retailer standpoint for shipping upgrades, this is a reasonable amount of shipping upgrades which they are able to charge, cover their shipping expenditure. And in average, if you go to talk to any retailer, the shipping upgrades, they are between 2 to 5%, if at all. In cases of these few clients where we have enabled these strategies with Phoenix, we have seen up to 12% consumers have opted for shipping upgrades, resulting in a huge impact on both the cart abandonment as well as reduction in shipping losses, so to speak, where consumers have actually chosen paid shipping over free shipping.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think then when you're talking about going from 2 to 5% to maybe 10 to 12%, selecting upgrades, now you're making some real meaningful impact.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we're pretty much out of time here. We wanted to wrap up before the top of the hour. Any closing comments from either of you, Peter, Akhilesh? It's been a great discussion.
It's all about free and fast.
Absolutely. If I may say so, it's all about getting Phoenix and Maergo together to really solve the puzzle.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Well, again, thank you everyone for attending today. And, as one of our clients told us just recently, you get these tools in place, experiment, and always be innovating. So hopefully you got some ideas on how you can innovate your own brands and retailers around the delivery experience today. Thank you all very much. And until next time, take care.